All right, guys, what's up? What's up? Good morning. Happy Sunday. We are live here. So, pretty much what I want to go over right now is I wanted to go over the RicoCap zones. I wanted to go over how they stacked up for this past week, how we played them, and how you can kind of capitalize off that going into next week. So, if you don't know what the RicoCap zones are, this is my strategy. These are pretty much supply, demand, buyers, sellers, knowing where to be at on the right side of the trade. I do the heavy lifting for you. All you have to do is mark your charts or mark the levels where we would buy calls or buy puts and then execute the plan. So it's super easy and you get these game plans every night. And so you're ready for the next day. So we're going to be looking at QQQ here and only QQQ for this example. So we're going to look at, this past week, right? The past 5 days, which is going to be right from the 19th, pretty much all this area, right? Not the best, not the best price action for this week. Kind of expected though. Um, but I mean, it's exactly what we kind of thought. So the 9th through the 13th, right, Friday the 13th, you can see it overlooking on the hourly. You can see how we kind of stayed in range, grinded up, came right back down, pushed back up, couldn't do it, came right back down to that lower level. Really just kind of still inside of like kind of last Thursday's Thursday's price action. You can see that. So let's kind of get into it, right? How can you play this? You see this and you're like, all right, but how can you play this? Super easy. So let's get on the 15 minutes crack. Let's crack into each day how we did it, starting off with Monday, the 9th. And so pretty simple actually. So you can see here, right at open, we ended up taking calls, I think 30 minutes after open, because you could see this kind of huge candle right here to see if we'd fail this demand. I wanted to see if we'd actually fail 528, and I remember this perfectly Monday morning. I wanted to see if we'd lose 528.83 right here, this blue line. The reason for that was because you can see last Friday, we defended it. We did wick under it, but that's the thing. We wicked under it. The body did not open up under it. So I wanted to see if we would lose that level, because if we lost that, then we'd come down to this gap right down here that likely will be taken out Monday or whatever, if it's down after hours right now, going over into Monday. Anyways, this is kind of what I was waiting for. I needed to see if we ended up losing that 528. We didn't. We actually pushed right back up. And so when we pushed right back up, I said, okay, let me wait. Let's see what happens. They defended the bottom of the zone there, and you can see that the bodies opened up right at it, over it, and then it pushed up. Once it pushed up to that level right there, where I actually ended up slamming calls, knowing that the volume was pretty low. No sellers were really stepping in, so likely we're gonna melt up here, kind of into range, and that's exactly what we did and happened. So right there, I ended up taking calls on the break of that 530, and pretty much knew that we'd run to 532. So we got the push up, and then the beautiful push from right there. I'm on live. I'm telling the crew, everyone, all the members, get out at 532. That is our level, and it actually hit a high right there, 532.33. As you can see, so level hit, everyone get out, and as you can see, ended up rejecting there, coming back down for that retest, and then pulled the same exact move. So again, beautiful. Couldn't break that 532, came back into zone here. And so now we move on to the next day, right? You can see that we did technically gap down there, even though this is a weird kind of situation where futures were up big after hours, but then they sold off right before the overnight session kind of opened, or the overnight session ended, and then like pre-market the next day kind of opened. So it actually recorded a gap down, but you can see we held the demand there. I don't really care too much about, how price action really works after hours, but you can see it held demand there, not perfectly as far as like random kind of levels coming down. I'm sure it was just this liquidity from, the previous day. All good. What I'm looking to see is where we're going to open up. So it pushed above demand there. Held. You can see again, we came back down and it retested that same demand. So right now, pre-market, this is telling me demand's holding, things are stronger, buyers are kind of stepping in. Okay, so that's perfect. So again, Same thing, right at open. I'm looking to see. We opened up above the demand. Looks pretty good to me. We end up seeing a dip down. I slam calls for that push up, and I wanted to see near 532, 533 zone right here. I wanted to see if we would tag it. And we ended up tagging it, just not right then and there, but all good. We ended up slamming calls right there. 1 day expiration, got them around 530. Ended up selling again around 532.50, so a $2.50 move right there. We're up on the position. It was kind of taking a little bit, staying around from there. I was just like, all right, sell the rest, do less. And then we see that huge kind of knife that we ended up knifing all the way down to that 528 level, that random knife. Really trapped sellers down there, shook out buyers, and they pushed it right to our zone. And I remember Tuesday, that was just nasty work. It was already midday, and I kind of have a rule not to be kind of taking trades midday, because stuff like that, it's either really choppy or, trickery kind of goes on. So I try to avoid that, but we got our win already, do less. And so you can see right before close where they wanted to close this, right? They got it above the zone there, and they wanted to run it to 535 level, the 534.98, pretty much 535. This is our purple line. Purple line tells us, this is a significant level going into some type of news, and this was going into CPI Wednesday, right? Because this is Tuesday, almost closed. So it makes a lot of sense that they would run it up there, dipped back into the zone, and so they're kind of holding it here. This now is becoming a green zone as we're finally getting above it, after hours at close there. They closed it above it. So technically we are now, this is now turning into a demand. Buyers are here, and you can see that. Again, we retested that 535 level, purple line after hours. Couldn't quite do it. We're holding the zone, and then this is where news kind of comes out pre-market, and you can see, perfectly our next target is 536 supply zone up here, right? And the next RicoCap zone up, this is where we know sellers are now at, and where we could be selling calls as a target. So you can see, of course, the move is playing out. News drops. We get that rocket straight up to there. It got above it, and you can see that. But the wick, right, does the damage. The body tells the story. We opened up under it from here. This was an actually pretty easy move for us, and we did pretty well. But we got I waited for the dip. We slammed some 1 day expirations right back into this zone. This right here pretty much tells me, this supply now turning demand, meaning buyers kind of ruled it, took it over, and now let's see if it holds up. And so we slammed calls into there, got the wick right back out, and got the move all the way up to 536. So from 533 area all the way up to 536, almost 537, calls ran, banged for us over 120%. Very easy move for us that day. So super nice, and we're kind of just sitting back doing less. You can see once we tagged the supply, we rejected out and got the move right back down. So puts could have worked there, but I'm not looking for puts kind of in this tighter situation. Again, we were kind of pinned, and then kind of near close, we ended up losing this zone and coming back down to the next zone down, which was exactly the same zone, we're kind of playing around with on that Tuesday. So the previous day. Really easy stuff right there. You could have slammed puts up there and held all the way until then. Again, that would have been a $6 move. Not bad at all. So now we go into Thursday, right? This is where we really capitalize off this. This is where, we really banked and caught, over 200% on our calls. And so a lot of people getting bearish Wednesday kind of in that close. And I was telling the team, sure, it looks bearish and we have gaps not too far off. But I've seen this more than a million times where, I've seen it more break back up than downward. And so it's kind of like a little bit of a falling wedge scenario. And so that's what I was kind of telling the team. That's likely we're going to blast up and go back into range. It's possible. We have news, and so that's what I'm banking at. And you can see, the falling wedge scenario. Right when news comes out Thursday, I see this massive push up. That was already a clear indicator we're coming back into range. And so that's why I was like, all right, it should be very easy. We defended this demand again. They couldn't break it down. We defended that 528 again. You can see that for QQQ. Same one from Monday, same one from Tuesday. We defended it. Back above the demand. We opened up above the demand. We dipped a little bit, and no hesitation, I slammed calls. No hesitation, slam calls, slam the 534s, I believe, or the 533s, those around there. I know they went in the money. We got them for like 80 bucks. They're crushed from this, which was awesome. Got them for 80 bucks, a 1-day expiration. Got the power move right out. And you can see we ran all the way up to 533.82. That was my main target. This supply main target was here. Possible purple line, but wasn't gonna bank on it too much. I was all out by the time we got up to this top part, and our calls ran for over 200%. Easy stuff right there, having the zones. Very easy, knowing that we defended the demand, opened up above the demand, buyers were still in control, and just told us where to go. So super easy there. And of course, if you want access to this, click the link in the stream right now. Click the link in this tweet at the top part, wap.com/RicoCapital. You can get access to this, right? I show you the game plans every night. It gets posted. You get immediate access to the Discord channel. Just check it every night. Before you go to bed, have the game plan. Know that above this, we're slamming calls. And of course, below this, we're slamming puts. And it was always, knowing that under this, we're going to take the puts if we get that move. And you can see going into Friday, we closed inside the supply, meaning sellers were here. We closed inside of it, and you can see we rejected all the way out as we gapped down off of, Iran, Israel news and war stuff, right? Again, this was super easy because all we did was gap down to another demand, meaning, and we kind of tagged some of that gap below, but I knew that if we held this demand, we're just gonna push right back into range, and so I knew that if we just lost this going, we have a gap, easy work, puts, bang, those would have been a really good play, knowing that gap's down there, and I still have those alerts, right? I'm just telling alert me under pre-market low right there, we lose the demand, boom, easy. So that's not what happened though. We held this demand, we opened up above it. No look, we opened up again, dipped a little bit. I slammed calls for that ride up to 530, 529. That was pretty much my main target right there because we did gap down. And so that's where the gap ends. You can see right there, that's really where the gap ends. So I'm taking my calls right there. And on some lottos, from 527 to 530, boom, easy work right there. For the calls, and then of course we came back down as we rejected that zone. You can see that rejected, came all the way back down, held it again, ran it all the way back up. This kind of faked me out. I thought we would at this point break down here, but they just ramped it right back up, did the same exact thing. So kind of a lowercase h pattern kind of going on, rainbow pattern. I didn't really care too much at this point. I knew they'd throw in the throwing the towel up here, and so we got a nice move down. I think I ended up taking like TSLL, knowing Tesla was kind of strong, and it eventually threw in the towel, and kind of was done for that midday session, knowing that we'd pull right back down. So pretty easy stuff right there, and that was our week. With the zones, really, with QQQ. We mostly traded QQQ this week, so it was pretty easy. And that was pretty much it. Just kind of sitting back and kind of keeping it simple. You can see, using the zones, that's really all you need. A few trades, 1-2 trades a day. Playing this, super easy. Knowing where buyers are at, knowing where sellers are at, and when they hold, knowing, when to short, when not to short, right? Because Friday, a lot of people were probably getting really bearish there. And I'm sure if they didn't play lottos, they would be all right, kind of going into this weekend. But again, they could play the upside and then loaded the puts up here for a better downside. And that's really it. So again, in hindsight is 2020. It's always a little bit easier once you're reviewing. But reviewing it, we pretty much got all the main plays. That was pretty good. If anything, we really could have caught some puts at the top here, knowing that we'd probably just push down in the range, some lottos. But I didn't really touch lottos all week other than Lotto Friday, and just kind of kept it super simple with that. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. But if you want these zones, guys, walk.com/RicoCapital, get these zones. $25 a week. You're making them back on the first play. you're making that easily. Easily with a few contracts, you're making that. Even just knowing being on the right side takes the guesswork out. I post the game plans every night, right? So I'll be posting the game plans for these for Spy and QQ. Tonight, usually every night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And so you have access, you'll have, posted that. And as, we keep kind of moving through these zones, you'll, kind of keep updating your chart and you'll know anytime we get to a new zone, a fresh zone that, you'll be amazed how well it works, on some of these zones. Because if we come back up to 533, 532, you'll know, how it moves. If we get back above it, you'll know act as demand. If it rejects again, you know that we rejected there, more supply. And so super easy. And I wanted to kind of just highlight, the RicoCap zones, how we keep winning, how I keep winning at the open, and how you can too, kind of, taking this and applying it to your own trading as well. So you get this on SPY and QQ, so you can see they really move the same. Reason why I went QQ over SPY on some of these days was Q was a little bit stronger at open. We did go SPY on one of these days as well. It might have been the 200% banger. SPY was a lot stronger that day, and so all I do is pretty much, kind of look at the names and what's being affected and things like that. If tech is weak, and SPY stronger or this and that, whatever it is. I tend to definitely kind of pick the stronger or weaker, depending on what side I'm going to be looking to slam on. Puts, calls, whatever it is. You never want to be slamming puts on a stronger name, and you never want to be slamming calls on a weaker name. Just kind of thinking that it's going to catch up. I don't like to do that. I like to go where the strength is and where the weakness is, and things like that. So pretty awesome stuff, guys. I wanted to highlight this as well. As my strategy and kind of give y'all more, a little bit more exposure to it, understanding, how it's stacked up on the week, and things like that. So I know I've had a few extra or a few, questions about kind of, these things, but over the weekend. But I love how new members kind of show up and they're just like, man, these things are magical. Been having new signups over the weekend for people who just strictly want the zones, and again, they're magical. As long as you keep up with them and with the game plans every night and just, follow the game plans, you'll be all right. You could have even taken calls right here on QQ, right? We broke above the 530.61 and got that same kind of run to 532-ish. You would have been all right. You'd been all right for some calls on some lottos. They would have moved. You would have worked. Boom. Again, you got to know where the zone, like kind of the take profit and stuff are at, and that's where the blue lines are at. Those are kind of like little intraday, this is where resistance could be, support could be. Just expect some type of little fight there. It doesn't necessarily have to be the complete target, but I knew that, in some of these range scenarios throughout the week, I knew that 532 was a bigger level. So it needed to kind of, I wanted to be out at that level, knowing that, news is the next day. We're probably not going to go higher, take the money now that we're at max value right now. So so some of those trades, pretty awesome stuff. But again, like I said, just wanted to highlight the zones and how you can just lock in with these and win nonstop. I'm proof of that, because all I use is this. It's my strategy. All I use is this. Members do have access in the channel to my trading rules that go along with this as well. So I have a whole list of trading rules that go along with the zones, right? Using SPY QQQ, kind of staying away from lottos, no strikes further out than this. You want price at this, you want to be trimming at this. And always, stop sweat buy. Sizing is everything. Understanding the move, understanding where you're at. So a lot more rules kind of go into this, but necessarily, if you're not a member, you don't necessarily have to understand this, as long as you, not going too crazy, playing the move in a normal sense, and you're gonna win. You're gonna win. You're gonna win no matter what. It's up to you to kind of understand, how well or how much you want to win on that, right? Some of these moves were a lot bigger, and I knew they would be, depending on kind of how we kind of played it or how the market sentiment was, right? Got to understand if we have news tomorrow, what's going to happen, things like that. So definitely, guys, definitely keep an eye on that. If you want to sign up, you can use code STREAM right now for getting access to the zones. I think I still have that code active using code STREAM to get save a little bit of money off using the zones. Give it a try. One week, right? Give it a try. It's only 20-25 bucks a week. Come on, guys. For that, you're gonna make it back easily. First day, second day, easy. You're blowing past that, and then you're gonna wonder why you haven't been using this. It is, what changed my trading. It's what made me profitable. It's everything to me. When we keep using this, keep screaming it out, and bigger things are coming for these zones as well. So, keeping things simple, guys. I mean, so simple. This is how we stay winning. How I stay winning. How the team stays winning. And just knowing where the market is at all times can make you understand how to take better plays, right? If Q Inspire rejecting supply, we see Nvidia, rejecting out, holding demand there, and things like that. So, very easy stuff to be able to predict some of these other individual names, and you want to be able to do that as well. So, don't sleep on that. Use code STREAM, right? Code STREAM, save you some money. And I swear, your trading will improve dramatically. I promise. First week, second week, third week, a month. Give it a try. The consistency, and you'll see your trading improve dramatically. I'm telling you, So, I'm gonna remind you guys, use code STREAM, save some money. Gonna tweet it under the stream here. So give that a try, guys. Pretty awesome, being able to do this. And I'm excited, right? The zones got me excited. I don't care what happens on Monday. I don't care what happens Tuesday. I don't care what everyone's predicting going into, Monday. I know I got the zones. I know that I'm going to be all right. I know that wherever we're at, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be trading nonstop with the zones. They're going to tell me where buyers are at. They're going to tell me where sellers are at. I know you got to stay patient, wait for the move, and boom, easy work. And that's why you gotta, have a strategy that continuously works. And this continuously works in all markets, no matter what's going on, war, tariffs, inflation, whatever it is, it's gonna continuously work. And that's how I kind of stay profitable and continuously win. Is just not stressing about where the market's going to be at, not stressing about where my play is going to come from, just understanding the zones and knowing that my play is always going to come. I'm always going to bank it open. I'm always going to continuously use it because anytime I lose is when I'm not sticking to the zones, when I'm not sticking to SPY QQ, when I'm not sticking to the higher probability wins. These are all high probability plays on SPY QQ. You don't need to take a million trades. Stay on a little bit higher time frame, and you'll be all right. Take 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, longer expiration, calls. You'll be all right. And so easy stuff. Some of these trades too that we took, went against us, and we're at break even or we're down a little bit, and we're waiting for the bigger move, and then it just explodes and it works. And so that's why I say get off the smaller time frames, because if you're on the smaller time frames, it's gonna fake you out, especially if you're if you're very unsure with your strategy. If you're using the zones, again, stay off lower time frames, because you want to be on the higher time frames to understand. All right, this is all these right here where you see kind of the green zone. All that is where buyers are sitting from 526.17 to 525.51. You can see that. We don't know when they're going to get really executed and break out, but you can see all in this area we dipped into this demand. Buyers had to get executed for us to pop out of this, right? Get over it and then run to our next zone, because the market isn't continuously instant where it just dips into an area, tags it, and then completely reverses. Of course it does. You can see that right there where we hit the gap, reverse, hit that zone, reverse. You're gonna see that, but again, a lot of times you're gonna see stuff like this, or the move needs to load a little bit. So you want to be going, not lottos. Not saying lottos can't work, but you want to be able to make sure you're not getting eaten away on theta and stress free, knowing that this is actually very good on your side, and then you get to pop out and win. and stress less. You know, it's not about, you know, what your P&L is looking like at the moment. It's about the trade you're in, and how you're working it. So pretty awesome stuff right there. Like I said, use code STREAM, sign up, get access to it. Get access to it. You get access to the Discord immediately in the RicoCap channel, RicoCap Zones channel, and you'll get the game plans. They're posted every single night. You know, gives you the chart, tells you above this, take calls, below this, take puts, and that's exactly what I follow the next day. Absolutely. Now, sometimes, you know, things kind of change, right? We see a gap down like this, and we'll say under 529.90 was the game plan for puts. If you would have waited and we got the push up right here, and you can see we rejected, you could have slammed puts for the ride down and got that exact move. And then know that, all right, I need to be out down here because we hit this demand. This is pre-market low. I can either put stops of a buy and see if we end up fading this and completely, you know, knifing through it, or just in case they try and range this, we push right back up, stops of a buy for the last, you know, and see if what kind of happens there. Or, you know, you can see that demand and be like, all right, I need to be all out down here on puts just in case. Regardless, I want to take max value, and, you know, sell for the win that I'm up right now easily. So pretty awesome. I want to just kind of jump on here real quick and show you guys what the zones are all about. Shout out to the 111 people kind of showing up here. Obviously, I'm going live for the night show tonight, so be ready for that. We're going to see if we can try and crack over 1,000 people showing up tonight. So let's see if we can do it, guys. 115 of y'all on here. These are the RicoCap zones, guys. This is how we use them. And you can see kind of on the hourly, you know, how well, you know, working. We pretty much hit that same zone down here, defended it. You can see same thing on Friday. For those that maybe were red on Friday, you can see right there on 606. You know, that was, what was that? Was that a Friday? Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, yeah. Friday, so that Thursday and Friday, we literally did the same thing where we opened up near that above that 526, 525. We gapped up, held the gap. See that we did eat some of the gap on that Friday, but again, held it. And then, you know, pushed up and did the same exact move, guys. The same exact move. How do you, at that point, how are you not like, all right, these things definitely working? The same exact move happened this past Friday, on the other Friday as well. So you can see right there, exactly the same exact move. The same exact move. We got the move right back up to target. And we couldn't break that 532. Same thing, almost the same highs too. You can see right there, couldn't break that 532, couldn't break it. And we again held, opened up pretty much same plays, got that rocket right up. So again, I don't know what to tell you. Easy. If you don't want to use these, it's crazy. You're crazy not to use these, right? Easy. They make it so simple on how to win. Non-stop with SPY and QQQ. Non-stop like clockwork. Just rinse and repeat, continuously using them. So sign up, $25 a week. You have to just not even want to win if you don't want to spend $25 a week to use the zones. This is going to continuously have you winning. Continuously. You'll make it back first play easy. Even with 2 contracts, you would make that back easily. Even with 1 contract, you would make that easily. I mean, you're easily getting 30%, 40%. I mean, no hesitation, not even a thought. So use code STREAM at checkout. Let me make sure it's still active for you guys. Pretty sure it is, but we can check it out right now. You gotta wap.com/RicoCapital. Sign up. You get a discount too, as well on the 3 months. If you ever want to use that 3 months, it's crazy, but and that's crazy. Now that I look at it, 3 months for $100. Oh my God, for the RicoCap zones. I might need to change that. Hold on, I might need to change that. Is that a glitch? Is that a glitch? That's crazy. All right, so 25 a week. Let's see. Is the code still active? Let's see. Use code stream. Code is still active. You can see the code is still active there. Right there. Use code STREAM right there. Save 10%, you know, paying like 23 bucks. Easy work, guys. Like 20 bucks. Oh my God. How can you not want to do that? Also, I have to take a look at that. 3 months for 100 bucks. I got to take a look at that. That might not be there by this afternoon. So, if you're going to do anything, that looks crazy. And I wonder if the code works for that too. Let's see. I'm going to test that. If that's a major flaw in the system, if it does work on that, because you're basically getting it for nothing. 69% discount, which is crazy work. Let's take a look at it. Stream. Nope, not used for that one. So 100 bucks for 3 months is absolutely insane. So I would capitalize that off right now, or else because I'm gonna go change that. There's no way. 3 months, 100 bucks, steal a lifetime right there. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. That's crazy. You're making that first for 3 months. Oh my God. Anyways, all right. So use code STREAM if you want 25 bucks a week. You're winning. Absolutely. So I wanted to get on here and highlight how we played the zones, how I continuously won every single opening trade with the zones, and it kind of gave the whole breakdown. So once I get off here, I will post the video. You can rewatch this. It's only 30 minutes. I'm gonna hop off here. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of y'all Sunday. I will be here back on later for the night show. We do have a shorter week with Thursday being a holiday, market close. Doesn't mean, you know, we're gonna be short on the gains. We're actually gonna kill it. So have the zones ready, you know, show up to my lives at night, my night shows, and how you're not gonna make money. How you're not gonna make money this weekend. It's impossible. I've looked at the stats. It is impossible. If you have the zones, if you're showing up at least to my lives, you're going to be making money. So, I mean, show up to the lives. The night shows at night, free for everyone, of course. Right here, right now, you're watching it. We'll be back here, you know, normal time, right? What is that? 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern for the night show. And we're going to see if we can crack the 1,000 people showing up. So, awesome stuff. Use code STREAM to sign up for the zones, guys. Get them, win nonstop. This is how we and the team Rio Capital stay winning over here nonstop. You know, so if you had a red day and wondering how I was posting gains straight in the morning and how I was like, it's super easy, this is how I do it. So lock in with that, guys. Give it a try. Why not? Give it a try. 25 bucks a week to change your life forever sounds like a deal to me. So give it a try. Let me know what y'all think. DM me if you need anything. My DMs are open, so let me know. If not, have a good rest of y'all Sunday. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Sunday and then come back tonight ready to go. Chart a little bit for you guys. See the setups. SPY QQ, they're already charted for us, so we know what's going to happen. Let's see what kind of happens with futures kind of open night, and then see kind of how we open up Monday and go from there. So easy work. Appreciate y'all showing up. These are the RicoCap Zones, and this is how I stay winning nonstop. So see you guys on the night show tonight. So be there, be square. I'll see you guys later.